Hello and welcome to the She Reads Romance Books podcast, the ultimate show for romance book lovers looking for the best books worth reading. I'm your host, Leslie Murphy, and in each short episode, I share my favorite book list of recommendations so you know exactly what to add to your must-read list. Join me as I explore the romance genre and have fun collecting book boyfriends along the way, because life is better with a love story. Hello, readers. Today, I am sharing one of my favorite lists to put together each year, and that is my list of favorite book boyfriends of 2024. I'm never shy in admitting that one of my favorite things about reading romance is collecting new book boyfriends, those heroes who stand above the rest and who represent everything I want in a man, or those who teach me something that I didn't know I wanted in a man or a relationship, but now definitely do. So today I'm sharing my top 10 book boyfriends of 2024 who stood out from the rest to claim their spot on my best book boyfriends list. In 2024, I read over 140 romance books and definitely found a number of romance heroes I'm still swooning over and won't soon forget. Some of them are from books that made my best romance books of 2024 list, which I mentioned in my last episode. So if you missed that one, definitely circle back after listening to this episode. Now, I've been collecting these book boyfriends all year long, and because I like to collect book boyfriends and never want to forget a single one, that means I make sure that I keep them all in a super special place, which is in my romance book reading journal. That way, at the end of the year, I can easily look back to see who snagged my heart and just wouldn't let it go. I created this journal exclusively for the romance book reader. It has so many pages to help you manage your to-read list, to track your reading, and to journal about what you read throughout the year, including specific pages to track your favorite book boyfriends. You can get it as a paperback or hardcover on Amazon, or you can snag the printable version for a bit cheaper on shereadsromancebooks.com. With the printable, you can then print out as many copies of the book boyfriend tracker sheet that you need throughout the year. It's awesome. Now is the perfect time to snag a new journal if you need or want one, and I will include a link in the show notes for it, or honestly just go to shereadsromancebooks.com and you'll see it right there for you to snag. Okay, I won't delay things anymore, as I know you're just dying to know who stole my heart in 2024, and I'll definitely be curious if any of these leading men made your list of best book boyfriends for the year. So be sure to let me know either in the comments on the blog or in my private Facebook group, the She Reads Romance Book Reader Lounge, as I would love to hear who your favorite book boyfriends are from the year. After listening to this episode, you can also hop over to shereadsromancebooks.com to check out my book boyfriend page for past lists of my best book boyfriends in romance and my favorite book list of romance heroes. It is like a goldmine of books and book boyfriends that you don't want to miss. My favorite book boyfriends in this list are in no particular order. However, this first one may be my favorite of the year if I absolutely had to pick one. And that is Isaiah Rhodes in Play Along by Liz Tomfort, who earns the title of Best Husband Book Boyfriend of 2024. In this book, Kennedy Kay, the only woman on staff for the Windy City's Warriors professional baseball team, is desperate to land her dream job with a new team next year, but a crazy night in Las Vegas finds her married to the team's shortstop in the morning, Isaiah Rhodes, who has been crushing on Kennedy for years, so of course he will pretend to be a real couple to save her job and to hopefully give him the chance to convince her to give them a real shot. I knew Isaiah was top book boyfriend material when I fell for him and caught up his brother's story. But man, did he exceed all of my expectations with his own love story. This is a man who is the life of the party, and he strives to lighten things up for everyone around him, even when he's got his own struggles. I loved the devotion between him and his brother Kai. I loved the relationship he has with his coach and teammates. But I loved the man that he was for Kenny. His patience, kindness, love, his teaching in the bedroom, since she didn't like to be touched, were everything that makes him top book boyfriend material. I wanted to stay in these pages with him and Kenny forever because it was just fantastic. Hands down, one of my favorite book boyfriends of all time. My next favorite book boyfriend is Jackson from Fall With Me by Becca Mack, who is the best Playboy book boyfriend of the year. Jackson Riley is a hot hockey player and a known playboy on his NHL team. And despite taking a random girl on vacation, he ends up having this one night stand with the woman next door in the honeymoon suite, only for her to turn up weeks later as the team's new photographer, and who happens to have an apartment that's flooded and needs a new home. And he offers up his apartment, and so they become roommates. It's never hard to fall for a hockey stud, but there was so much more to Jackson beyond his prowess on the ice and in the bedroom for the story. As someone who was constantly traded and never felt wanted in his personal or professional life, I loved how he became the perfect roommate and boyfriend to Lennon when he thought he was really just keeping his distance and they were just hooking up as, roommates with benefits. His kindness, attention, and caring were the sweetest, all the while he didn't think he deserved any of those things in return. I loved when he showed up for her when she needed him most and how his teammates didn't let him shirk their friendship either. I just adored this man in this book, in this series. Fantastic. One of the best book boyfriends of the year. My next favorite book boyfriend of 2024 was Ethan from Summer Romance by Annabelle Moynihan, who is the best friend's brother book boyfriend of the year. Allie Morris is a professional organizer whose own life is a mess as she struggles with her mother's loss 2 years ago and balancing life as a single mother since she is now divorced or soon to be divorced. But a spark with a man at the dog park who seems to see her beyond her mess changed everything for that summer. So Ethan is one of those book boyfriends that I'm still thinking about long after finishing this book. I mean, it's been months since I finished reading Summer Romance, but I still think of his patience, the calmness he brought to Allie's world, and his ability and desire to kind of make a fool out of himself for her benefit. I mean, the man dressed in like a leisure suit for her mediation meeting, and it was like the best scene ever in the book. He is a man who is dependable, and while that doesn't really sound sexy on its own, he was also that and more. He proved that he was there for Allie, her kids, the kids at the skate park, his neighbors, and so many others without asking a single thing in return. I never would have thought that Annabelle Moynihan could make me fall in love with a skater dude, but I loved her for it and just love this man. He was definitely one of the best book boyfriends of 2024. Now, Wells from Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey is hands down one of my favorite book boyfriends of 2024, and he earns the title Best Grumpy Book Boyfriend. Wells was once the hottest golfer on the tour, and he was followed by mega fan Josephine Doyle until the day he has a meltdown on the course and leaves the tour and his fangirl behind. But the grumpy golfer starts to miss seeing Josephine's face, and when he goes to see her and see she's in money trouble and that she's really skilled and versed in golf, he asks her if she'll become his caddy if he returns to the tour. So I said this in my last episode. Wells is the grump to Josephine Sunshine that I did not know I needed in my life until I read this book, and he easily soared to being one of my favorite book boyfriends of the year. Sure, he was gruff, but he was also a man who listened, he didn't mansplain, and he actually took Josephine's advice on the sport and on life because she was just amazing. And he also truly just saw her for the woman she was and took care of her without treating her with kid gloves like everyone else had been in her life. He's top book boyfriend material because he is both a confident and alpha man while also being a supportive partner in more ways than one. And the phone call that he made to her parents was just so sweet and awesome for the reasons of why he made that call. I just love him so much. Wells is definitely book boyfriend material from 2024. Next up on my list of best book boyfriends of 2024 is Lo from Bride by Ali Hazelwood, who is my best enemies to lovers book boyfriend of the year. In this book, Misery Lark, only daughter of the most powerful vampire councilman who has been an outcast her entire life, becomes an outcast once again when she enters a marriage of convenience with Lo, an alpha of the Were Pact, in hopes of forging an alliance between their two kinds. Now, Lo stepped right into favorite book boyfriend territory just by being an alpha werewolf. I mean, right? Do you need another reason to love him? I don't think so. While his kind didn't trust the vampires, he was willing to sacrifice his own happiness for the good of the pact and his family and marry like an enemy, essentially. I loved his fierce loyalty and love for his younger sister and how he came to unravel Misery from her shell. He was such a great leader, but who could also see the individual, and the way he made his feelings and vulnerabilities known despite being the alpha just made my heart swoon for this man. And how he kind of started to explain something to Misery in this really roundabout way about his feelings was just really epic. I can't go into spoilers, but it was really, really cool. Well done, and I loved Lo as one of my favorite book boyfriends. My next favorite book boyfriend of the year was Charlie in Business Casual by B.K. Borison, who is the best secret book boyfriend, because Charlie was staying in town to help run Love Light Farms while his sister was off on her honeymoon. The honeymoon he gifted her, which was amazing. He always loved this small town and secretly wanted to be a part of it, and yet always felt like something set him apart. And he also was flirting with Nova, the woman opening a new tattoo parlor in town, which sort of gave life to a secret friends with benefits relationship, but that they both try and fight from turning into more. So Charlie instantly became a favorite book boyfriend because he was just the sweetest hero, yet also a man who could also let loose with some really hot and heavy wants in the bedroom. He's just the sweetest man to everyone in their small town, yet continues to think that he's separate and not enough. And he's also just the best big brother who, as I said, sends his sister on an epic honeymoon while he works himself into the ground while she's away. His business casual relationship that soon warped into more with such honesty and the best banter and flirting was really epic. Plus, don't even get me started on the man's tattoos, his willingness to embrace all surfaces for spicy times. He is freaking amazing. I loved Charlie. My next favorite book boyfriend of 2024 is Justin from Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, as he is the best fake book boyfriend, and here is why. He is a man who believes he's cursed because every woman he dates goes on to find their soulmate after they break up. But he connects with Emma on Reddit, who believes that she has the very same curse. So in an effort to cancel their respective curses, they come up with this idea that they're going to fake date each other for a time and then break up to finally break their curses. Now, in doing so, I loved every single thing about this hero who stepped up not only for his sibling, but for Emma time and time again in this deeply moving romance. I definitely have a thing for heroes with wounded hearts, and you soon find out that there's a heaviness that was weighing down Justin's shoulders. But I think what attracted me most to this man and what made me fall so hard for him is the way that he let Emma go when she needed to put herself first and start her healing process. That could not have been easy with everything else in his life, but he was so patient and loving and kind and just hands down one of the best book boyfriends of 2024, written like only Abby can write them, right? Like just fantastic. Next up on my best book boyfriend list is Wyatt from 9 Month Contract by Amy Dawes, who is the best mountain man book boyfriend of the year. So he is this grumpy mountain man who is ready to become a single dad. So he's on a hunt for a surrogate to give him a baby. Only his nosy brothers and his sweet niece butt in and end up finding him the perfect someone. But baby making and keeping things professional go right out the window once he meets Trista. So I said this in the last episode. Wyatt became top book boyfriend material not only because he was super hot, wanting to become a dad, even if he was single, but he was or is the best uncle, a strong brother, and a really devoted lover to Trista. I adore how he loved Trista for the woman that she is and the body she has, and shows her every chance he can get. And acts of service are like this man's love language, because he just did everything from her to like getting her breakfast in the morning to helping her with the animals. I mean, whatever she needed, he was there for her. And it didn't hurt that honestly that he was this amazing dirty talker, because you know how I love those. Wyatt is proof that it's not just the closed off alphas or the wounded heroes that earn the spots as book boyfriends, best book boyfriends, but also the charming, the funny, and the kind heroes as well. Next on my list is a holiday book boyfriend who stole my heart, and that is Cole from The Nightmare Before Christmas by Sarah Roche, who is the best cinnamon roll book boyfriend for the year. Nicholas, or Cole Claus, used to love Christmas until his father, the reigning Santa, turned the holiday into a PR facade. To escape the spectacle, he has a hot makeout session with a nameless, beautiful man one night. But when the heir to Christmas is soon commanded to marry his best friend, Iris, the Easter princess, a rival arrives to challenge Cole for the princess's hand. His mysterious one-night hottie, who turns out to be Hex, the Prince of Halloween. It was so, let me tell you, this book, it was so easy to become completely obsessed with Cole while reading this book. It probably should have been on my best books of 2024 list, because it was just such a unique, fun story to read, well written. Loved it. I loved this man who definitely came across as a hot mess in the beginning, but also as someone who just truly loved the joy of Christmas. His self-discovery and growth throughout the book was just beautiful. It broke my heart, honestly, how he viewed himself initially, but I loved how he pushed through his self-doubt and negative self-talk and worked to save Christmas. And as a lover to Hex, he was so understanding, patient, tender. He also gives the perfect example of what it means to get and give consent. I totally fell for the cinnamon roll of a book boyfriend in this romance that was honestly one of the best surprises of the year. He is one of my top book boyfriends. Last but certainly not least on my list of top 10 book boyfriends for 2024 is Hades from The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen, who is the best fantasy book boyfriend of the year. In this book, Lyra is set to destroy Zeus's temple on the eve of the games that come around every 100 years that the gods play with mortals to find the next leader of Olympus. But she's stopped in her task by Hades, who then turns around and picks her to be his champion for the games, with her task then being to stay alive and win the games. So I don't know what it is about Hades that we romantasy readers love so much. Whatever it is about the broody, secretive god, Abigail capitalized on it and then some in her portrayal of the Greek god in this book. Sure, he's still just as dark and mysterious as you'd expect, but I loved the layers to Owen's Hades and the ultimate reason why he decided to participate in the games this year. I also loved how he could seem so aloof, and yet he was always looking out for Lyra in her participation in the games. His protectiveness, even his anger, were super hot, which is why he is top book boyfriend material, and I cannot wait to get more of him in this series. So those were my top 10, but I have one more favorite book boyfriend for you. He's sort of an extra, as he's one of my favorite book boyfriends of the year from a throwback title that I read that wasn't a new release in 2024. Could not get enough of this guy, so I definitely have to mention him on this list. And that book boyfriend is Lorcan from How to Tame a Wild Rogue by Julie Ann Law, who was the best historical book boyfriend with the best proposal. Feared and fearsome, battered and brilliant, nothing shocks Lorcan St. Ledger, not even the discovery of an aristocratic woman escaping out of a window near the London docks on the eve of the storm of the decade. They find shelter at a boarding house called the Grand Palace on the Thames, only finding themselves needing to pose as husband and wife to share the only room available. Now, this book and these characters are why I read historical romance. Julie Ann Law has such a way with words and can make a scene where just a simple touch to the thigh is so sensual, or a man's quietly uttered words of longing to kiss her upper thigh is just freaking heart-pounding. Lorcan was not a gentleman, and yet he stepped in to help Daphne every step of the way since meeting the woman outside a window one night. I love that he never pushed and didn't have to because he was irresistible and so freaking hot. Plus, he gives hands down, the best proposal speech I've ever read or heard from a man who truly knows the woman he's fallen for. He is hands down top book boyfriend material. I absolutely loved him. So that is my list of all the romance heroes that captured my heart in 2024. I cannot wait to see who shines as my top book boyfriends for 2025. I'm already starting to collect them and cannot wait to share them with you in my monthly podcast episodes of my reading list. And again, following this year, because trust me, there's going to be some amazing ones. Before you leave, I want to remind you that the 2025 Romance Book Reading Challenge has kicked off for January. We are reading one contemporary romance book for the month. Just read one and you've completed the challenge. Head over to my private Facebook group, the She Reads Romance Book Reader Lounge, and tell me your selection and how you liked it. Also, the She Reads Romance Books book club is continuing in 2025, and I'm so excited for this month's book of the month, which is Steal My Heart by Laura Pavlov. We are going to be reading this book and talking about it, this small town boss's daughter romance, in book club on January 22nd on Zoom. And then again on Zoom on January 28th, we are going to be joined by the lovely and amazingly talented Laura Pavlov for our author Q&A. Trust me, you don't want to miss this really fun, intimate opportunity to talk with the author, ask her all of your questions. It's going to be fantastic. So if you're not yet a member of the book club, head over to shereadsromancebooks.com/book club and join today. Can't wait to see you there. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, happy reading because life is better with a love story. That's all for this episode of the She Reads Romance Books podcast. I hope you enjoyed it and found some new books to add to your TBR list. If you did, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. It really helps me reach more romance book lovers like you, and I appreciate your support. If you're a book boyfriend collector like me, then you'll want to join my email list so you never miss a podcast episode or a new book list. Just visit shereadsromancebooks.com/join and sign up today. As a thank you, I'll instantly send you my list of top 10 book boyfriends that will make you swoon. Trust me, you don't want to miss this list. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy reading.